guys? So I'm sorry I didn't do my book review tonight, but I'm all better now at least. So we're going to be reading chapter 2 of Who is Jesus? Chapter 2, Jesus grows up. Not much is known about Jesus' childhood. He may have had several brothers and sisters, including one named James. Jesus probably went to school from the time he was around 6 until he was about 12. All Jewish boys, rich or poor, could go to school. Jewish girls, on the other hand, stayed at home. School for Jesus most likely took place at the local place of worship. Jewish people called their houses of prayer synagogues. Jesus' teacher might have been a religious teacher, a rabbi. Jesus would have learned to read Hebrew. He probably spoke Hebrew as well as another language. Aramaic. Most of his studies would have been about the Jewish religion. In the Gospels, only one story is told about Jesus' childhood. He was 12 at the time of the story. Every year, Jesus' family went to Jerusalem for Passover. Passover was an important holy festival. It honored the Jewish people's escape from slavery in Egypt. Hundreds of years later, Jews were expected to go to Jerusalem for Passover to worship at the great holy temple there. At the end of Passover, Joseph and Mary left the city to return home to Nazareth. They were among a large group of people. After they had started out, they realized their son was not with them. Worried, Joseph and Mary returned to Jerusalem. They searched all over for the boy. At last they found him 3 days later in the temple. He was sitting in the middle of a group of Jewish teachers, listening and asking questions. Everyone who heard him was amazed. For such a young boy, he understood the Jewish religion so well. The temple in Jerusalem sat on the site of an earlier temple that had been destroyed. During Jesus' time, it was huge, larger than the 20 football field. Jewish leaders ran the temple and collected temple taxes. They oversaw the religious lives of the Jewish people. Under the Romans, Jewish leaders had little power. They had to work with Romans to keep the peace in the temple. They stored sacred writings, as well as illegal and historical records. People came there to worship God and to learn and talk about religion. In 70 AD, the Romans destroyed the temple. Today, the Western Wall is all that remains. It is a holy site for Jewish people who come there to pray. Jesus' mother, Mary, was upset though. "Your father and I have been searching for you," she told them. Jesus asked, "Why were you searching for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" The temple was the house of God, so Jesus was saying that God was his Father. Years passed, and Jesus grew into a man. During this time, he may have worked as a carpenter like Joseph. When he was around 30, Jesus left Nazareth. He was looking for a man called John. According to the Gospel of Luke, John was Jesus' cousin. John was also a preacher. When people came to him, he would dip them into the Jordan River and bless them. The ceremony was called baptism. It was a way to show that a person's sins were being washed away. John became known as John the Baptist. Jesus found John by the river. There John baptized him. As Jesus came out of the water, he saw the Spirit of God over him. He heard a voice speak, "This is my Son, the beloved," it said. Afterwards, Jesus went into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. In many cultures, a trip into the wilderness was a common test for young men. They traveled alone into a wild or harsh place to pray or think. When Jesus left the desert, he was ready to begin preaching too. Chapter 3 is 12 Loyal Men. Alright, this is Owen signing off.